So we
Okay.
should be prepping the live stream now.
Here we go. What's up with all the snow today?
That's a great question.
I just laid out my garden hose in my lawn and it just snowed.
Were those correlated at all, or what? Why'd you lay your garden hose out in your
I
lawn?
was just gonna water the plants. Just water them.
Well, you didn't need to.
I love it. Okay, looks like it's live on YouTube right now, but comments are off. Berkeley was out building the snowman today.
That is wild. Yeah, it was snowing pretty hard.
It was really
It kind of makes quarantine with kids harder, doesn't it?
Yes.
When it's not nice outside.
Yeah. And I've been trying to go for runs or something, but don't want to in this.
I went for one today.
Did you?
Yeah, the kids were wild. I had to leave the house. I'm not certain Micah had changed out of his pajamas at all today.
Nice.
I said to him at the end of the night, "Get your pajamas on," and he said, "I've had them on all day."
I'm getting a couple of texts saying it's up and working, so
I am certain that I'm wearing the same clothes I was wearing yesterday.
good.
Is it an Anchor sweatshirt? Yeah, it is. Nice. I washed mine finally.
I'm certain that Kyle asked me to be on this so that I would change out of my pajamas.
Hey,
Change out of your pajamas?
whatever works.
Wait, I can't see.
Just a sec, I'm trying to push
Oh.
see how this works. Oh, it doesn't look good at all. I'm trying to,
There, just share Juliet. Oh, that's just a picture.
I don't know how she did it. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there.
Oh, that makes a lot more sense to do it like that. Hey, Linnea.
Hey.
Can they not hear you?
I don't know. Roger's saying he can't hear me.
You still can't hear you? Okay, hold on for just a second.
There, just share Juliet. Oh, that's just a
Oh, boy.
picture. No,
Got
that.
the YouTube loop feedback. Thank you for
Yeah, that might be.
checking in
I
right
don't know
now.
if that's us or someone else.
Trying to figure a few things out.
Hey, Toddy, we're live. I love it. We're working on it. Someone wants to push it on Instagram right now that we're live at this spot. I don't know.
I'm doing it right now.
Okay.
Fancy. Should I just start an Instagram live and get?
Okay. We'll push it that we're live. So besides the snow, I think maybe first topic is April Fools. How do we do today?
I saw the meanest. I don't know if you guys saw it. There was these 3 girls that were out by their car with their backpacks and bags on, like they're going to school. And their dad was standing on the doorstep. And he's like, "Hey, what day is it today?" And the girls were like, "Oh, it's going to school day. We're going to school." And he's like, "No, literally, what day is it today?" And they're like, "April 1st." And he just stood there smiling. And they're like, "Dad, we hate you." I'm like, that's the meanest thing ever. The kids are so desperate to go socialize with their friends. Oh, it was brutal.
Did you guys see the one where people were posting pictures of governors from different states saying that that every grade would have to repeat the whole school year? But it was very official looking. I saw one for Pennsylvania and one for Minnesota. They're definitely April Fools.
Yeah.
That's so mean.
Wow.
When I was a youth pastor, there was a parent in my youth ministry that told he had 2 boys in my youth group. He pretended to have a phone call, conversation with me during their dinner time saying, "Oh, great, Robbie. Yeah, that's awesome. I'll tell the boys." And he got off the phone and told them we were going swimming at Currents. So they invited all their friends and he picked them up, took them to Walmart and bought them goggles. And they came in with swimming suits and towels around their necks. And we were not going to Currents. So I had like 30 extra kids at youth group that night that thought we were going swimming. And they were so mad at me.
Yeah, sure they
But
will.
it was April 1st. So
Oh man.
that's a good joke, though.
That's
Good.
hilarious.
I made Finley cry twice today because of pranks. So
Oh my
What
gosh.
were they?
I put dye on his toothbrush, like food dye on his toothbrush this morning. So when he started brushing his teeth, but he hated the way it tasted. So he started freaking out. And then Kyle pulled him through a puddle of water and he was mad that his butt got wet. So
Is there an April Fool's joke somewhere in that?
Yeah, I was just say April
That just
Fool's.
sounds like child abuse.
You ever seen the joke where you sit across from each other on the floor and you pour some water on the ground? And then, so I gave Finley, he had a fork and a knife in his fists. And I had a
Getting
towel.
worse.
You love this
Yeah.
story. So I had a towel and he had a fork and a knife and we're facing each other with a puddle of water between us. I said, all right, Finley, the goal is when you say go, I have to wipe up the water while you try to stab my hands. So it's the big game. So, but as soon as he says go, I drop the towel and grab his legs, just pull him through the water. He didn't
You
like
win.
it. So parents, it doesn't have to be April Fools to get your kids' pants wet, make them upset. I love it. Those of you that are watching on YouTube, we are unable to figure out how to get the comments turned on. So there's no live comments on the YouTube page. But if you still want to ask questions, if you have any of our numbers, you could text us, or if you go to Anchor Church, maybe Instagram's the best way, and just direct message us on Instagram. We'll have that pulled up right here. So we apologize that there is no live commenting on YouTube, but on Instagram, Go Anchor Church, just direct message us right there. And we will have our phones nearby trying to at least answer questions that way, if that works for you. So any other pranks on kids or kids pranks on you?
I just dumped a bunch of water on Mira today. Yeah. Suck
You
it.
hated it.
It was the worst.
You probably love it.
Yeah, she would.
Mira loves to be scared. Anytime you can startle her and she like jumps so big, then she just smiles. So I don't know if she's gonna be easy to like scare grown up because
Yeah.
she thinks it's funny.
3 a.m. though, when I go in and just start screaming in her room, she hates that. She just hates it.
So do
I figure she does it to us, so why not?
Why not return
There
the
you go.
favor?
One to others, right? Yeah, that's
Too much. Cool. Hey, so it's on 9:09 right now. We're gonna try to keep this under an hour. But I just wanted to have a few minutes to just talk about life. There's not a whole lot of planned content right now, but we're just gonna chat for a few minutes. And again, those of you that are on YouTube, you could either comment on, got some information here that maybe the chat is disabled because the video is set for content made for kids. So we're keeping this G-rated.
That's a very
Next
good
time, who knows? We might step it up a little bit. Thanks, Gabe, for your input. We'll work on it next time.
Gabe
So feel
always
free
coming
to, if you have any of our numbers, you can text us, but go to our Instagram, Go Anchor Church, and you can direct message us there for any questions or comments throughout this hour that we're together. We're hoping to tonight, we've got a few topics that we haven't really planned out, but just to bring up for discussion. And then our goal is even next Wednesday night, maybe have more of just a question and answer time for most of the time. So if you got questions that we don't get to tonight or throughout the week, we're going to try to promote that throughout the week. And maybe next Wednesday night will be more just question and answer time. But let's get chatting a little bit about what's going on with life. This is crazy. This week, we can't even be in the same room together as we've progressed from social distancing to shelter in place or shelter at home. So it's been weird not even seeing anybody outside the house the last couple of days. But thank God for Zoom. But Spence, we'll let you kick us off.
Okay. Sounds great. Well, I was supposed to get a haircut today or tomorrow, but for some reason the lady canceled on me. So I guess here we go. Yep. So
It's okay because every time he goes in to try to get a haircut, and I'm like, tell her to like give it some cut. She loves his hair so much that she only chops like an inch off. That's it. You can't even notice that he got a haircut. So it's
I can't even get a haircut if I tried. So
he refuses. So I don't know.
How often do you cut it?
like twice a year.
Yeah.
It's a good twice a year.
So do you reschedule or you just wait another 6 months?
Yeah, it's like 6 months, text her, call it good. Yeah. So
She chops an inch off.
I'll change the YouTube settings. Does that make the comments work?
Ooh, I don't know. Are comments back up?
Sorry to interrupt.
That's cool. You can do
we
it
just
well.
gotta hire Gabe.
hair.
He knows it, how to run it.
Ooh, comments are up.
Yay!
Oh my word. This
Way
is
to go, Gabe.
Thank you, Robbie. So those of you watching on YouTube, maybe you have to refresh. I'm not sure, but the chat is now open on YouTube. So if you got any questions, comments, you can put them in there, and then we'll try to read them and get back to you.
Great.
What's going on with the Powells? How are you guys doing in this wild time? What are you thinking about? What are you being stretched in? What's going on?
Yeah,
Do you like hanging out with me this much?
I love it.
You love it.
Well, no, but he's been doing a lot of music, which is awesome because he's just had more time to like write, and
Yeah.
so that's cool.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to make light of how serious this whole thing is, but
Yeah,
I feel like I've needed this, if you will, a sabbatical for a long time of just like simply being okay sitting and writing songs. And I always come up against these roadblocks or things that I'll go and do instead of doing that. And this is really like forced, like, no, you can take the time to write. And so that's been really cool. So hopefully some songs will be finished up here really soon.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it's been really exciting, but it takes a long time. So it's been good. And Linnea's doing her business stuff as much as possible. So it's been good. Hang out as a family. But I mean, I guess if we really dive into the serious spiritual side of stuff, I've just and part of the song that I wrote this last week was just like I believe, at least I know it starts with me, but I believe it's a global awakening for the church to rise up and come back to their first love. And I kind of talked about that a little bit the last time when we did this last Wednesday night. I really believe this is a wake-up call, not from an angry father or an angry God, but actually a loving father that's like, hey, you're spending, your time doing all these things, yet there's a simplicity of the first love. And I think about Revelations 2, is it, when he's addressing the church of Ephesus, like you do all these things, but you've neglected the very first thing, your first love. And then I start thinking, and I've been saying this whole last year, but it's becoming more of a reality, is that like the dudes come to Jesus and they're like, all right, so give us the great commandment then, and he says, let's just do these two, and let's simplify it here for you. Love me with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And the second one is like this one, is to love people.
Yeah.
I'm a people dude. I love people so much, and I'm an extrovert. So this is really hard to stay inside. I'm not I'm not super great at it, but I'm trying. But I often jump to the second one and have neglected the first one. Like, what does it really look for Spencer Powell to love God with everything that I am, every part of me? And contemplating that question has been interesting. I don't know another word, but it's been, as I sit in my basement, like, what does that mean to like really live my life for him? Like starting to ask those questions. So, but that can sound so serious, but I feel like it's a wake-up call. It's like a father, like, hey, like, I want to spend time with you, type of deal. So I've felt a lot of intimate moments with God just in this basement, writing songs to him. And yeah, so I really, I mean, I could go on a whole lot about that topic, but I think there's even a greater returning of if you will, even the prodigal Christians. That could, it's probably not very biblically sound, I don't know, but it's like a lot of times I feel like I'm the one trying to run away, or I'm the one who's neglecting God so many times in my life, and I'm not actually including him in and inviting him in on everything, every part and every detail of my life. So so yeah, that's a bit of what I've been contemplating while I'm down in the basement. And then just I'll just want to read Psalms 121 because it's just so good, and then someone else can talk. This psalm I just been going back to it a lot. Psalm 121. I lift my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. He will not let your foot be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel will neither sleep nor neither slumber or sleep. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade on your right hand. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will keep you from all evil. He will keep your life. The Lord will keep your going out and your coming in for this time forth and forevermore. And so, ironically, even him keeping my going out and coming in, I'm not totally going to go out and into society and help spread the virus, but I do believe that like there's a peace that comes in trusting him. Yeah. And returning back to that first love. So yeah, it's been interesting. We deleted Netflix. We haven't watched this tiger movie or whatever everybody's talking about. Feel a little lost. But
it's just cutting off his head.
Red Sox can't play anyway, so
Keep going.
yeah. So we've just been trying to spend as much time together and worship and all that stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Gabe asked on YouTube, how's baby Mira doing?
She is so naughty, actually. No, she's the best, but she's like, she's at this stage where she knows what you're saying. So like, well, she knows no. And so she beelines to the places that she's not supposed to go to. And then she's like mid crawl and like looks back and then waits for eye contact and then like keeps going to the, because she wants to like eat rocks from our plants. And then today she was like, she knows the word gentle and I'm teaching her like, just be gentle so she doesn't grab. She like grabbed my face. I said, oh, gentle. And she stops, like pulls her hand back, looks at me, and then just like starts slapping me. And she knows what she's doing. So
I did not teach her that. I just very clear. Just-
so I'm not sure how to deal with that. I just but it's like
I just dump water on her
Yeah.
head. So.
she's so stinking cute and like got that little
Yes.
dimple and it's but yeah, she's like so sassy, but I like it. Yeah, she's awesome.
I think of all the video clips or pictures of people watching church from home this week, Mira worshiping
Oh, it was
Just
so
it's
drumming.
gotta be my favorite.
Yeah, she's
Praise him.
Yeah,
Praise
wow.
him.
praise him.
I know. She
Yeah,
does.
she's got praise him down for sure.
And
Yeah.
then she holds one hand up like bounce. She like dances.
However, Spencer did teach her that one.
I did teach her, yeah, the booty shake for sure.
Now we're following Spencer and Linnea on the old gram. You got to. You
That's
gotta
like all we
It's all
post
Mira,
anymore.
yeah.
praise him. But you guys are well, healthy.
We're well, yeah. And maybe we can segue with this little topic to somebody else, but another like just put the fear in you a little bit is that earthquake.
Ah,
You guys feel it? Like
Yeah.
I was sitting on the couch and I
was-
thought like Mira somehow moved the couch. Wait, that's really not logical at all. So I was like, we're in an earthquake. It's happening right now. Like, yeah. But it wasn't that crazy. Like for your like you could just feel everything
But
moving.
like my
and
eyes
then
were like kind of blurry when he pointed it out. I was like, oh yeah, all the plants were shaking.
yeah,
That was
that
wild.
was really crazy. But I in the same moment I felt like so like helpless. Like
Yeah.
our another one that we're gonna have to trust God with, but
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine one of those like 9 point whatever.
big ones.
That would be just insane. But anyways, Tucker, did you feel that bad boy?
I did feel that bad boy. Is that your way of like popcorn tossing it?
Yep.
I did feel the bad boy. Yeah, I was actually sitting in a chair in my room, and I didn't think that Mira was shaking my chair, but
But
I was
others.
sitting in my chair, and I started to feel it move, and like my brain instantly said, "Well, just stop moving." And then I was like, "Wait, I'm not. I'm the one that's moving right now." And then my doors on my closet started to shake. Like, oh, this is wild.
Crazy.
Yeah, this last week there's been some days that were tougher for me personally, just with some anxiety stuff, just some days really battling through kind of what's to come and how it's affecting me even in the moment right now. And usually, well, honestly, this week there was 2 days in particular that were pretty full days of like, I read an article that talked about, it was a word called hypervigilance. And they just use that in terms of you become so focused on like how you're feeling that your feeling starts to feel off, right? You're so conscious of that. And there was a couple of days where there were a couple of periods of time where that was certainly the case. But I think one of the things that I've struggled with, if I'm honest in this time, and I'd love to hear maybe if you guys have some thoughts on it, but is finding pockets of joy, of things that like really bring me joy or make me happy. So much of those I feel like have been stripped from me. Certainly the virus is one thing. I was walking across my room today and like my ankle hurt so bad I like fell to my knees again. So I can't play and I can't be physically active. So like a lot of the things that have brought me joy, I feel like I can't engage in the same way. But maybe 45 minutes ago, I laughed harder than I might have ever laughed in my entire life. Like
That's
8
awesome.
minutes, 10 minutes of just like, I had crossed the line where I was probably more crying than I was.
Uh-huh.
Awesome.
Those are the best.
Oh my gosh, I haven't had one of those in forever. And it was over a stupid video that my brother made, but it was the funniest thing in the world. And I was driving and I couldn't help but think and say like, thank you, Lord. I mean, what a blessing it was
Yeah.
to just escape the reality of this is hard and have 10 minutes that were just so funny so awesome, so light.
Yeah.
And that's not a space I live in often. That's not generally where I go. I'm typically more, oriented towards more the serious conversation side of things. And so I just felt like it was such a gift from the Lord to be able to like
Yeah.
have this breath of fresh air where I just absolutely felt the joy of the Lord. I've listened to Psalm 51 so many times over the last few weeks. And one of the things that David says in there is he says, restore to me the joy of my salvation. And there was just this, like, again, this moment of what just felt so pure of just having joy be restored, and hoping and praying that there's more of that to come. And there's pockets where I can pursue that personally, but so thankful for what tonight looked like. And
Yeah.
again, I don't know if any of you guys have those things, but where have you found joy? Where have you pursued joy? Where have you looked for joy? Because it can be hard. I mean, like I said, we're kind of stuck in the same place, doing the same thing with the same faces. And so those experiences seem to maybe be a little bit more fleeting than they've been. But I know for me, that was such a moment of brevity to like come out of the water, take a huge deep breath. Like, wow, that was so great. Like, life can still be enjoyable.
Would you like forward that video to us, all of us? Or?
Yeah, you can. Jenna saw it and she laughed, but she's like, it was my brother, and she's like, you guys think like your humor is so inside with the two of you that, I mean, it was funny, but like not that funny. So I just could not help it. I mean, I'll let you see it if you want it, but it was just so funny.
That's really cool.
Oh, that's so cool.
Have you guys had any moments, or do you have things that you do, or activities, or conversations, or?
I saw a story today that a semi carrying toilet paper crashed in Texas and caught on fire. And
That's hilarious.
You're sick.
I know that's kind of, but it was ironic, and it's April Fool's. So that brought me a chuckle for sure.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm gonna answer for you, and then you can talk some more. This has been with a lot of stuff canceling, and this whole situation has affected a lot of people in very massive ways, and we're all figuring out and adjusting. For us, what it means for church and for family, but for Danny with Cakes in the Zoo, there's been a lot of cancellations of upcoming weddings, and so not to compare to anyone else's, but definitely some sort of an impact on Cakes in the Zoo. And she just had this cool idea. I don't know if it was you or Whitney or who, but just this idea, hey, let's just do these quarantine 4-packs. And
we've sold like over 115 of them, I think.
Whoa.
That's awesome.
Like the orders
Unreal.
just kept pouring in. So
So
Yeah.
awesome.
that was exciting.
Well, that 50 of those were me.
Yeah, right.
but to see, it's been really fun for me seeing how much joy you're having, and seeing not only how cool it is to see the response of Missoula, because your favorite part has been seeing what?
Well, their
The-
notes.
Yeah.
So it's I was thinking like people are gonna want them for themselves, but I bet 95% of them are being sent to someone's loved ones or friends just to brighten their day, and they can add a personalized note, and to read the notes that are coming in is like so sweet, and like just people are so thoughtful. So
Yeah.
it's been really cool.
Originally, you guys said you were going to cap it at
40,
40 boxes.
and then it was 60.
And now they're over 124 hours. And then next week, they got to go drop them off on doorsteps. And
Yeah.
So awesome.
it's been cool, for one, to see just individuals loving each other and the notes.
Yeah.
But also to see provision for something that Danny loves, and
Yeah.
brings an extra set of finances for the family. See that. It's just been really, really cool. I think it's easy to see what businesses are doing for Missoula, which we love, but to see an individual showing care for another individual
Yeah, it's been sweet.
at that level has been really, really cool. And for Missoula to respond like that, just that quickly, that you're like, yes, we're going to support the business, we're going to show love. That's been
Yeah.
a lot of joy.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's so.
What's joy in the Severson household?
I was trying to think about that. I- so I've been putting all the like worship sets together for church, and I've asked Brenna and Carson to watch some of them and sing after I'm finished, just because I have to rewatch to make sure lyrics are right and stuff. But and Brenna has no idea she's doing it, but she uses some pretty provocative dancing to worship. And I just think it's so funny. And part of me, it's bad because I can't leave the house, but sometimes I'll just put the video on just to see her. This sounds terrible, but Spencer taught Mira how to shake her booty. It is hilarious. So I don't know, just the little moments of joy in between the fighting with each other.
I love it.
It's awesome.
In response to your question, Tuck, I'm just gonna give a little teaser for Easter. I've been working on the Easter message, and
It's not the setup.
in Psalm 16, David writes, and it's one of his lament psalms. So things aren't going really well for him, but in the midst of it, he makes this statement. He says, "No wonder my heart is glad." And I just that's gonna be a huge part of the Easter message of, even in his difficult circumstances, he comes to this realization that this is crazy, but somehow there is joy and rejoicing and gladness and hope on the inside. And then he identifies some of the characteristics. And essentially it's because God is with him, and he prophesies the resurrection. And we're going to spend a lot of time on Easter talking about it. But he speaks to the hope he has in the resurrection of Jesus. But he just simply says, like, even in this difficult time, when I stop, and he's lamented for several verses, and then he says, but God's with me in my lament. He's with me in my isolation. And no wonder I still have joy. No wonder I'm still happy. Like, this is crazy. And so we're going to talk about that a lot at Easter. I don't want to give away too much. But I've been thinking about that a lot today as I was studying, and with your question, man, just to know that the presence of God is with us in the midst of this, and we get to celebrate this next week, the death and the resurrection of Jesus, and what that means to us today. I just think my hope and my prayer is that all of us can come to a moment, even if it's not the same words, like, man, my heart, there's so much joy still in my heart. Like, I don't know what's going to happen here, but I know that there's joy, and there's a reason to be glad because God's with me. I know that's a super spiritual answer, but something I've been chewing on all day anyways. But I hope in the midst of this, we do get those glimpses of, like, my heart still has joy. My soul is still at rest, because God and eternity, my eternity, is bigger than this. Doesn't mean this doesn't matter. It doesn't mean this isn't scary. But I can still have joy and peace because God's bigger than that. So tune in for Easter. You'll get under 30 minutes of that.
I think this, maybe I'm just using it as a jumping off point to talk about what I wanted to talk about, but I think it applies. This morning I was reading in First Chronicles, and there was this line in First Chronicles 18 verse 15. It says, and Joab the son of Zeruiah, I think that's how you say it, was over the army, and Jehoshaphat, who you've been preaching about, Kyle, the son of Hialud, I went to Bible school, was recorder. And I just found that so fascinating that Jehoshaphat, during David's reign, so it says in verse 14 that David reigned over all of Israel, and he administered justice and equity to all his people. During his reign, Jehoshaphat was the recorder of what was happening in David's kingdom. And it just made me think about, especially related to where we are, writing down as the Lord does things, memories. And it made me think about, in Joshua, when they cross the Jordan and Israel places 12 stones to remember what God had done, the goodness. But I guess I asked the question, what made Jehoshaphat such a good king, such a pious, just good king? And it made me think it was probably because he was watching his whole life and recording the goodness of God. And so then when he got into his own position of authority, he had a journal of the goodness of God. He'd just written down all of the goodness that God had performed for the kingdom of Israel. And right after I read that, I read this thing that Tim Keller wrote. I think he's a local guy, Tim Keller. I don't know. But he wrote, hey, thanks, Tuck. He wrote, we have a direct link to the mighty deeds of the past because they were the exploits, not of our ancestors, but of God himself. And that God is still with us. So the point being just that the goodness that God has performed for other people does not belong to those people. That's who God is, and it comes with God. And they're the exploits of God, not of our ancestors.
That's really
I don't know. It's just really made me think about even related to just the joy that you found in that laugh, Tucker. Like, what does journaling look like maybe in this season? I don't even journal, but just to write down and sort of scrapbook the goodness of God for the seasons when I need to open that book and remember. I don't know. I just really like that line that Jehoshaphat was the recorder in David's kingdom. He was writing stuff down, and that's what made him so passionate about following God. Not that he was writing stuff down, but that he saw what God was doing and committed it to paper or whatever they used, computers. It wasn't paper. Oh. Anyway.
That's really good. Are any of you guys journalers?
I've started this last year again. It's been really good. I mean, I don't know what I'm writing, so that's not actually good material, but it's been really helpful to process for sure. And I naturally don't remember stuff very well anyway, so jotting down the good stuff that's been fun.
Yeah. No, it's
Even
so
like,
good.
yeah.
And I think especially with having kids, we've been just like trying to tell our kids, like, as much as we're not really freaking out about this, like trying to stress, like, this is a huge deal. This doesn't happen in most people's lifetimes to have something this dramatic. And like, let's remember this. Let's make some memories. Let's like, this is a story that's going to be told. But I love what you're saying, Robbie, in that, what if we were more intentional about recalling and recording the God moments in this? Because we're all going to remember how crazy it was, and there was no school, and all the social distancing and the toilet paper scandals, and like, we're going to remember how funny it was that toilet paper was on fire in Texas. Like those
I know. I just looked up because I got really convicted. Like, what if the driver died and he's totally fine? Like,
Oh, good.
He's okay. So I had to look at that.
Good. We were about to judge you.
I know.
Like, we're gonna for sure remember a lot of that story. But what does it mean for us to be sure to record the provision of God in this? That's a really good challenge, so Robbie. Cool. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really, really good.
I was even thinking, I saw something on Instagram earlier. I don't know who put it, but even just posting that Christmas Eve ornament that Anchor gave.
Yeah.
Just like even little tokens to remember. I mean, that's what those 12 stones were, just something set up to remember. Like, do you remember that day? That was awesome. And kind of like Chris Farley on SNL, that was awesome. But maybe that's too old for all of us.
No.
Okay, good. But I don't know, whatever it takes to say, maybe a roll of toilet paper you just keep on your bookshelf or something, but just to remember, that was hard. That was so hard, and I was scared. But man, look how good God was to give us that extra time, or to provide 115 cupcake orders or whatever it was, It's just, I forget it. But it's good. What just happened?
You okay, Linnea?
Linnea just headbutted the desk.
I'm trying to get underneath.
Out loud.
The Bible down here in their corner.
Let's just say this is not our first Zoom call, okay? We are professional. We're gonna become social influencers.
So sorry.
Oh, I love it.
That is, and as it's unfolding, right, the story goes, the conquest of the Israelites and Joshua, and the Lord continues to hand the Canaanites and the promised lands over to the people of Israel, and the judges happens, right? And there's this massive swing of disobedience from what Joshua just experienced. There's this continual obedience to follow what the Lord had commanded, and then the people of Israel turn their backs. But Rob, what you're saying triggered so many thoughts from what Judges would speak of. Right after Joshua dies in Judges 2, it says, and the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders who outlived Joshua, who had seen all the work that the Lord had done for Israel. And Joshua, son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. And they buried him with boundaries of his inheritance, and it lists some of his inheritance. But then it says this in 10, and all that generation were also gathered to their fathers. And there arose another generation after them who did not know the Lord or the work he had done for Israel. And then literally the next subheading is Israel's unfaithfulness.
Wow.
As the writer is going to tell us this story in the book of Judges, the very thing, obviously he didn't write the subtitle in there, but the very line before he starts describing the disobedience of Israel to come through all of the book of Judges, it starts with, there arose a generation after who knew nothing of God's good and glorious works.
Wow.
And then there's another reference to it even later in the book. I think it's in Judges 3, verse 7. It says, and the people of Israel did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They forgot their Lord and served other gods. Like there is this clear connection that the author's going to make for us, that exactly to what you're saying, that the remembrance of what God has done and will do is going to be a key part for the perseverance of our faith moving forward. I think that is so incredible.
I feel like that is even on a personal level, that's very much tying in with what is resonating with me is of like, this is time for like Spencer to wake up, like for me to fall in love again with my Saviors. Because when you talk to someone who's like so passionate about any topic, but especially about Jesus, like it's contagious, and how they lead their family and teach the next generation, you know, and so that's been really inspiring for me, especially becoming a parent of like, dang, like I gotta pass, like I'm literally passing off who I am to our little daughter, you know, which is sobering, but it's yeah, like let it not be said of us, you know. It's a big awakening for sure.
Wow.
And I've heard people say, like, listen to what the songwriters are saying, because that's what's coming, because they're on the front lines. And so many artists have released songs recently, worship artists, about that very topic, remembering who God is and passing who he is on to the next generation. And so it's interesting to watch all the songs coming out about that, which they would have recorded all before this pandemic ever began.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Here's a thought for you guys. We're gonna look at Romans chapter 1. Paul writing to the church. Now he had involvement in lots of different churches, but was, you know, a significant voice in the Church of Rome, and spent so much time away from them. You know, some obviously different circumstances. He's traveling, and desires to be with them. And starting in verse 8 of Romans 1, he says, "First, I thank my God through Jesus, the Anointed, for all of you, because we're joined by faith as a family, and your faith is spreading across the world. For I call God as my witness, whom I worship in my spirit and serve in making known the gospel. He alone knows how often I mention you in my prayers. I find myself constantly praying for you and hoping it's God's will for me to be with you soon." And I'm sure you guys can relate. There's so much of this similar feeling with our church, and I'm sure pastors all around the globe are feeling this same tension. Like, I'm so grateful for you, for your faith, that our faith has made us family together. But we're not able to be together right now. And it's like, God only knows how much I'm praying for you, how often you're on my mind, how I wish we could come together. And I want to see you. I want to be with you soon. And those of you in Anchor that are watching, clearly that's our heart. We want to be with you soon. And he continues on in verse 11. He says, "I desperately want to see you so that I can share some sort of gift of the Spirit to strengthen you. Plus, I know that when we come together, something beautiful will happen as we're encouraged by each other's faith." So he's looking forward to the day where they're going to be together again. He says something special is going to happen. Like, we are going to be mutually encouraged. Like, yeah, I'm super excited to preach to you. But beyond that, I'm so excited that when our family of faith comes together again, how there's going to be this mutual encouragement as we share what's happened since last time we were together. Then he goes on, if my brothers and sisters, you did not already know, my plans were set to meet you in Rome, but time and circumstances have forced every trip to be canceled until now. I've deeply desired to see some good fruit among you, just as I've seen with so many non-Jewish believers. He says, like, we've wanted to get together, but week after week, it's just not happening for whatever circumstances are preventing us from being together. And he writes similar stuff to various churches. Like, I long for the day. I want to be with you. I want to come back together. And we're just thinking about this. And Danny and I were even talking about it. What it would be like when the family actually got back together again. Like, what did church look like? And, likely Paul wasn't looking for 5 minutes over a cup of coffee before church started, a little call to worship, 2 songs, a sermon, and then let's pick up the kids and get out of here. Like, that's not what he's looking forward to coming back together. Like, yeah, he's like, preaching will be fun. I'm looking forward to that again. But what I really want is us to be together, to mutually grow in faith as we get to share the stories. And just thinking about what Paul probably went through from one time he sees his church to the next. I don't know how big our circumstances are going to turn into or how long this takes, but he's getting arrested, he's getting beaten, he's on shipwrecks, he's getting bit by snakes. Like, this dude's having some experiences. People in the church are being martyred for their faith. Like, it is a wild time. Can you imagine when they finally get back together? Like, this church service is not what it was the last time. Like, I just imagine all the joy, all the celebration, the food. Like, they're just going around telling each other stories. And I don't know, this just puts a longing for me. I don't know how long we're going to be apart, but I'm just starting to dream, like, what does it look like when we do get back together? And I'm feeling more and more, and I'd love to hear you guys' feedback or start dreaming about this. When we do get back together, I'm not sure how much it's going to be about teaching a lesson. I think it's going to be like, let's have a whole bunch of food and let's just tell some stories, and let's like table hop and get to hear what happened while you were in social distancing, what happened, like, and just sharing, and maybe even bringing up a little bit of what you brought up, Robbie, let's build some pillars. When we get back together, let's just share God's faithfulness. This has been wild, but this is how God has been faithful. And what would it look like when we get together and we get to hug each other and we get to eat food together and we get to share, mutually encourage each other, that everybody who comes, doesn't matter how long you've been following Jesus, how long you've been a part of Anchor, what your job description is, but everybody gets to mutually encourage everybody else. Like, hey, we made it, we're here, and this is what God has done. So I'm just starting to dream, like, what's it look like when we do come back together? I just think it's gonna be a party.
That's awesome.
That sounds amazing. So
Food.
wait, yeah, food.
What
So
food are you bringing?
like kind of like the original Church of Acts.
Ooh.
This is groundbreaking stuff right here. I like it. Wouldn't that be awesome? I'm talking like that's how church. I mean, yes. What I'm trying to say is yes to all of that. That would
You'll
be
come?
especially the food for sure.
What's up?
Oh, we can
I just
do
think it'd be a blast.
That's been her thing. She's like
I
gotten
love food.
making the cookings happen.
I've
That's
been
what you
inspired. I have felt
brought you
inspired
joy.
lately.
That's brought you
Yeah,
joy.
that brings me joy.
That was for Tucker's answer.
Yes.
45.
Hey, we got less than 10 minutes. Is there anything else you guys really wanted to bring up tonight? I know we're going to keep talking, keep the conversation going. Anything else you guys wanted to hit?
We're gonna launch some content continuing in our discipleship program here in the next week. Just another way for us to continue to get connected. We'll be going through the book of Colossians, which I'm really excited about. So just keeping an eye out for that.
That's awesome, Tuck.
All right.
I know I said it at some point, but this has just been crazy. I really am proud of you for the curveball that you took piloting this discipleship program. And it's all about getting together and being in groups and being in homes. And then, I mean, just as we're about to get into homes, it's like, just kidding. But you've adapted so well, and really believe in our church is going to dive into this content, and it's going to be extremely valuable.
Yeah, I mean, even in the context of what you were just saying, I think even today, just wrestling and praying through some of that tension, man, I just felt so reassured by the Spirit that His word does not return void. Like there was this pressure and this mounting, like, okay, and maybe all of us can relate to some degree, like the programmatic element of what we might do on a Sunday or what gathering looks like. That's been ripped away. And there was just such this sweet returning, even to what it sounds like has been kind of this theme of like, what if we just did the things that it calls us to do? What if we just remembered the Lord? What if we just were faithful to what He said? What if we just meditated on His word? I was really encouraged by that this afternoon, that there's
Awesome.
His word does not return void. And programmatic stuff aside, like, man, if you watching, if you can spend some time in His word, that will produce fruit. That is what it will do. And was just super encouraged by that today.
That's so awesome. To those of you, Jake, Skrock, yes, we're gonna have lots of coffee together when this is all over.
Oh my goodness, so much coffee.
So much coffee. Quick thought, and then maybe Robbie, I'll have you pray for us, because last week I prayed that as many people as possible would die and everyone would lose their money. I don't know what happened.
It was so bad.
And I turned off Facebook during the prayer, so
Oh, good.
didn't even get any of the prayer. So
What I don't get is there's a few minutes between amen and shutting down the stream, and nobody said, hey, Kyle didn't mean that. Until after the
Very
show.
true.
I thought I was the only one that heard it. I thought I heard it wrong. And then we all looked at each other like, did he just say?
You did just pray that, didn't you?
I had
Yeah.
like 5 cups of decaf coffee by then. I was wired.
No, I was full and I was like,
So Robbie, I'll be praying just a second. Last thing I want to
Okay.
say, I heard, I don't know where I saw it or heard it, but someone just kind of choosing to take the term social distancing and kind of be like, no, I'm not gonna buy into what that means, social distancing, that I'm not gonna be social, but physical distancing.
yeah.
I mean, to be physically distant, but socially engaged. And we need community. We need each other. We need people. And yeah, we can't be in the same room. So we need physical distance right now. And so I just want everyone that's listening to know that we're going to continue to try to grow in what it means to be socially engaged during this time. And we're learning Zoom and not making any promises right now, but we're all working on times throughout the week that we can just have open times like this where you can jump on, and at least one of us will be online to just check in. How are you doing? Just have a conversation, have a cup of coffee with us, be able to just see how you're doing, talk about your family, have a coffee appointment over a screen, and have as many people tune in as want, and be able to pray with each other. And so we're going to try to have more opportunities like that. We'll be able to take worship opportunities online like this. We're talking about what does it look like to hop on live next Thursday night, which is the night of the Last Supper before Good Friday and Easter. What's it mean to hop on and do communion together? What does it mean to hop on Good Friday and just take a few minutes to think about the sacrifice of Jesus on the cross before Easter? And so I just want you to know we're doing whatever we can to create as much social interaction, not just, hey, will you tune in on Sundays and listen to a sermon and worship with us, but how do we provide community? And we know that we grow best when we grow together. And so we're going to provide as many opportunities for community as we can. So we encourage you, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, to stay engaged. We're going to do whatever we can to keep providing not just content, but opportunities to connect with you. We're going to be physically distant, but not socially. We're going to be engaged as best we can. So keep following. We're going to try to connect as best we can. Anything else? We are going to do this Sunday. We'll be pushed our service live again at 10 and 4. And we might be trying out some new platforms. We'll make more of those announcements of exactly where to find them, but likely YouTube, Facebook, and we're going to potentially offer a new platform this week. But we love you guys. We long for the day that we get to be together with you. And Robbie, why don't you pray for us? Encourage the church.
Okay. Father, you are so good. And God, I just pray now for all of us for special encounters with you, for even dramatic encounters for some of us with you in a time where we least expected it. God, I pray for special pockets of joy during our days, just in ways that we never expected it. Would you just catch us off guard, Lord, with joyful moments? God, I pray for special encounters relationally that are just very unexpected, even if it's through a screen of some sort. God, would you help us to feel connected? And God, I just want to thank you for what you've done in the past and realize that you are still that God today, that goodness is not stuck with our ancestors, but that's who you are. And God, thank you that you're doing big things and powerful things right now. Thank you that we have you. Thank you. Well, Father, I guess I would just pray that that we would live in that same anticipation that you're moving through us the same way you did through our ancestors, that you're working in us, that you're working in the church. And even in these moments where it feels like nothing can happen, that you're doing big, big things. And God, we're so grateful for that. Thank you for this technology. And we just love you so much, Father, and pray these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I asked Micah today what he's grateful for. He said Wi-Fi. So
no doubt.
He's not wrong. Yeah. I mean, imagine 15 years ago.
Yeah.
You'd have to read a book or something.
For tomorrow, so that'll be us for a few hours.
Really?
Yeah, they're working on the whatever phone line, so like no Wi-Fi.
Yikes.
How will we live?
For how many hours?
4 hours.
Like 2.
Just sleep.
Actually, I think it's during Mir's nap. I'm totally sleeping.
Ooh, that sounds nice.
It's good to see your faces.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys. Those of you that are tuned in still, I want to let you know you can go to our goanchorchurch.com, fill out prayer requests. Every day they come in, we all see them and pray for you guys and long to be with you. If you didn't see the video, I think that was posted today. We are going to try to put together a compilation of videos of people in our church who just are testifying of the goodness of God in this season. So if you want to take a video like this, not like this, video like this, and email it to anchorchurchmontana@gmail.com. We're going to try to put those together and share them with you guys. So continue to put those stones together of reminding us and remembering what God's doing in this time. So love you guys. Miss being in the same room as you, but it'll happen soon.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting this together, Tuck.
Yep. All right.
Good night.
We'll do it
Signing
again
off.
soon.
All right.
Oh,
Guys.